We're moving into embodiment rather than information processing. So learning will come in multiple layers, and it is best that we open ourselves up to a beginner's mindset. Open yourself up to the child mindset, the awe, the wonder, the curiosity. That will create the space for the guidance from your higher self to come in. So as you start to notice yourself going into the mind, I'm going to ask that you pause, put your pens down, breathe, go into the heart, and allow the heart to be the one that allows you to receive whatever it is that is meant for you. Because when we're processing in the mind, that keeps us disconnected. If you need to make a note, make a quick note. But I ask that you try this differently and see what happens. The information has to come in, and we have to embody it. We have to become what we're learning, not just knowing this. It's being this. It might take you some practice. It's okay. There's nothing right or wrong or good or bad here. Come from the curious child. More the awe and the wonder. And the child that gets so excited is like, oh, I wonder what my higher self has in store for me today. And open yourself up to that. The only way we can connect to our higher self is through the heart. And you can do journaling, you can go out in nature, you can even be in conversation with someone else, but dropping into the heart. Allowing yourself to receive from a different place than what we normally do. As we begin to deepen into the healing process and the practices, know that the deeper issues that are meant to be healed will begin to rise up in you. And each level that is tended to and nurtured will create the space for you to do the real healing for the real repressed traumas, the wounds, to begin to reveal themselves. And so it's really going to be very, very, very important that you find ways to self-nurture as we do this work. This is a journey of soul love, of self-discovery, of higher self-embodiment, of becoming the divine human being. So we have to show up and say yes. So I'm going to ask that you silently pause and drop into your heart and say yes. Yes. I want to discover who I truly have been created to be. I want to allow myself to lay down the wounds and the armor and to allow true healing to begin so that I can discover my divinity. It's who you've always been, but we've got layer upon layer upon layer upon layer that filters it out. It blocks it out. It dims our light. And we're peeling back the layers, the wounds. So really finding a way to self-nurture, whatever that means. There will be a point where it's like, I have everything I need. I have all of the resources in me to bring my awareness into my heart, because that's where the true healing, the divine, my higher self, the alchemy can begin. Don't stay in the mind. That's where the parts, the personas have been created. And they will keep you there. They'll keep you stuck in the mind. And then the loop will keep going on and on. The triggers are really, truly going to be the gift. So begin to reframe the way that you see these triggers. These triggers are an opportunity to move that energy, to clear that blockage, to clear the repetitive pattern, the story. So ensure that you feel supported during this process, and trust that as one layer is revealed to you, there'll be another layer. We keep doing this. Even when we transcend this physical body, we're continually working on clearing. I don't know if it's necessarily called healing, the way that we identify healing to be, but a healing lets in more of our light. It creates more space for the soul to come in. So we're going into more of the feminine, the softer, remember, masculine is more external. We need the masculine, so don't think that we don't need it. But it's more the energy that takes everything out, whereas the feminine is the more the intuitive, it's more the creative, the soft, the compassionate, the nurturing, everything that we need to allow the true healing to occur. And we're not used to that. And so the feminine has been repressed. And we're not only working with the feminine energies, we're working with the divine feminine. So two becoming one is the primary principle of divine feminine healing and awakening. You're not separate from source. You're not separate from your divinity. You're serving from your highest potential, your higher self energy. And so whenever we're supporting each other, that's who you show up as. And as you show up that way for others, you get to experience your true self that way. So often we experience our truth, our true self, by being in service to others. And that's why service is such a powerful way of healing. Because we can often show up in a much higher way of being. The gift in being of service is you get to see your true self shining your light in service to others. And that's why it feels so good. And that's why it's so healing. But a lot of us will stop ourselves because we're afraid of what if, who knows the many reasons. What if I make a fool of myself? What if I'm rejected? What if people think I'm crazy? What if all of these things? And then you will still experience yourself in the limitation. And so what I will say to you is it does get easier, but to know that part of the requirement of embodying your higher self, becoming like really, truly connecting with the higher self, feeling the support of the higher self, and then becoming the higher self, because it's an expansion in consciousness. And so you are expanding in consciousness to fit the energies of the higher self, of how that is that you show up into who you become. So in order to do that, we have to go through all of these trials of, I don't know if I can show up in this way because it doesn't feel natural for me. I'm terrified. I think all I'm trying to say is you need no experience to show up from love, compassion, kindness. No experience necessary. Life has created that experience for you, carved out that path for you, because through our experiences that have separated us brings in more compassion, more empathy, more kindness, more gentleness, more patience, and more nurturing. So understand that sometimes when we see these things that are showing up that feel so contractive, it's good. Let the contraction serve. Don't stay stuck in the contraction, though. It's like, I need to move beyond this. So what do you need to do? You do it. And trust me, I know this because for myself too, to show up authentically is one of the toughest things that you will ever do at the beginning, but it is the most beautiful gift you can give to yourself because it feels so refreshing and so liberating and peaceful and loving. And that's what self-love is. It's where you put your authentic self first. You're not going to show up as an expert at the beginning, but you're going to show up with presence. And you can feel that in somebody. You can feel the energy. It's a different energy because the divine is there. That's where you will know, you will come to know. That's the divine in me, indwelling in me. We're not getting rid of the shadow. We just want to bring the shadow to the surface so the shadow can receive what it needs. It can receive the light, the love, So there's no shame in the shadow. The shadow has served. You can feel the alchemy happening because you're no longer identified with the old parts and the triggers. Real true healing is about us connecting to our higher self, to the divine. The soul leads us to the divine. The soul, higher self, opens the door to the divine. The personality can't do that. There's too many wounds. It's identified in ancestral consciousness and victim consciousness. It's not our parents' fault. It's not our ancestors' fault. Mother Earth is doing her own transition into higher consciousness, into fourth density, which is love. And then that can move us into the fifth dimension, which is unity consciousness, where there is nobody that ever goes without. There's nobody that ever has to sleep in the streets. There is no pain. There is no suffering. There is no cruelty. It's a totally different way of being. So I don't know when that will happen, but you first move from the separation into the heart, into a place of peace, compassion, kindness, generosity, all of that beautiful stuff that you become. And you move from separation, where you have to take care of yourself, where you have to fight and work really hard to make things happen and protect yourself, to the place where you know that you are being held in this beautiful container of love. And you are part of that process because, first of all, it takes you saying yes. So you're the one that creates that. It's like a symphony, and you're part of it. All parts of you get to come into this. Forgiveness and compassion, empowering ourselves to move beyond the confine of what we know ourselves to be, allowing ourselves to really, truly, fully discover, who am I really? Who am I really? It's not so much about what you do on the outside, it's more about who you are becoming, these soft, beautiful energies. You take that anywhere and it's felt. She said to me, Crystal, when she said, Sherry, you need to stop focusing on the outside and you need to go inside where your higher self is trying to guide you. And so you can see what is coming next for you. That was the best piece of information I ever got. And yet it was still information because I still had to do something with it. So it's the same as me. I show up, I give you, it's sort of like the roadmap, but you have to decide how much time and effort that you want to put into it. Does this take time? Is this going to happen in 2 months? I don't know, because the energies are now different and you've been showing up weekly for a long time. So I think, why not? Because you're ready. You're ready. But understand that there's going to be things that come up that don't feel so good, but please celebrate them. Reframe them. Because understanding that that's necessary for that part to come up so it's ready to be revealed to you. We've been repressing it. That's why it's the shadow. And that's why we see it in others. And we get triggered. We don't want that triggering, because all of that, it gives you the time and the opportunity to tend to and to nurture that part in you with love, compassion, kindness, and healing. And then that brings you in to the higher vibrational energies. But you don't do it yourself because you're connecting always to your higher self and to the divine. So there's this real alchemy that happens. It really does. My way was different than what your way will be, but I know I didn't know this is what I was doing. So it's a beautiful journey. It helps you see more clearly, have compassion and understanding for these parts and these patterns. So knowing when you go back in shame and guilt and anger and blame and whatever, Well, all you've done is gone back into separation. So now you have to move your self back into like connecting to the wise one. I'm connecting to my higher self, my wise energy, knows everything, has all of the answers for me. And you connect to that. And you have to do this for a while until the mind says, okay, I didn't feel this. I trust it and knows there's no longer resistance. So as you do it more and more, you can breathe differently, how you feel more spaciousness, how you feel more peaceful. Well, then that's shifting you into that state of being. So you're moving out of the separation into connection. And so when you hear me talking about be the witness, that's part of your higher self. And that's the part of you that's very present, very loving and compassionate, and it's neutral. There is nothing that it will get triggered by. It will accept and allow all things. And knowing that that's part of you, right? Like your higher self is always guiding you. And so it's learning to build a relationship with your higher self. It takes a while for the mind because we've been so used to doing things alone that it's like, I don't really feel this. Well, no, you don't, because you don't have a relationship maybe yet with it. But once you come into communion with your higher self daily, multiple times, starting your day, ending your day, throughout your day, breathing, connecting, that's all it takes is a breath to shift you, to bring your awareness back into your body, surrendering, saying, okay, guide me, I'm open, creating space for the guidance to come in, and waiting. It's a beautiful relationship that you begin to have with yourself. And that's when nothing on the outside matters anymore. It's not that it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that there's not importance in it, but it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. What matters the most is that you show up and that you are connecting with that always, because that's more real to you than anything on the outside could ever be. Remember, the law of one is about balance. And so this is what we need to do to get back to oneness, is to balance the distortions, the blockages. So imagining your wounded self being held by the Divine Mother or being held by the higher self, the most loving, compassionate, nurturing energies, it begins to trust in the higher self. And then a relationship is built. As you begin to trust that there really is this energy that can show up for you over and over, you begin to allow what authentically needs to be healed in you to be revealed. And then that's when the divine is activated in us. You are necessary. The aspect of you that's wounded has to come in to the relationship with the higher self and with the divine. We have to be okay with our wounded parts because that's the messenger. Without that, we wouldn't even know what needs to be healed. But then the wounded part has been so used to protecting itself that it gets triggered very easily as soon as life presents something that brings us back to that place in time when that trauma was locked in, and that was our way of handling it. Then we go back into that pattern repeatedly over and over and over again. Now we're going into the heart where we're connecting to our higher self. When we trust our higher self enough, and the divine energy begins to activate in us. But we have to be true to ourselves, authentic to ourselves, and willing to let the shadow be revealed. That's where everything begins to soften, and the energetic contractions that are being held in you begin to dissolve. That's why the only healer that is ever necessary, that I continually say, is you. Like even what I'm doing, it's like, yeah, that's going to help you in many ways. But the truth is, unless you say yes to you and you show up for you, none of that's going to make a difference. It might temporarily, but then if you're carrying in the old pattern, the old thought process, it's just going to get activated again. So when you trust that this energy is within you, call it whatever you want, you feel safe enough to let the most tender parts of you that have these protective layers to be revealed. So know that this is a path, and there are many steps that have to be taken for that door to open to the divine. But the more that you do this, the more powerful it becomes. So the energy just keeps increasing, and you see signs of it all along. And so it's beautiful, because don't make the destination somewhere you need to be. Make the destination be here right now. In this moment now, that is the gift, that is the opportunity, that's where the healing can happen. And then tomorrow will be the next moment. If the gift, the healing that you receive today is just this awareness of, oh, this is how I can do this. Isn't that a blessing? Isn't that healing? Knowing that there is this energy, and so all you need to do is begin to trust and connect with, and then allow that energy to reveal to you, help you reveal to yourself what truly needs to be healed. And then more energy opens. So remember, imagining when I say the blockage is being cleared, then that means more of your light, more of your higher self energy comes in. And the more spacious and expanded you become. And you literally become a light body. Like your whole structure physically will change, and so will the DNA. The DNA, the strands that they call junk DNA, will be activated. And so your sphere of consciousness begins to expand. Allow life to be sacred for you. Allow everything to be sacred. Because ultimately what we need to do is heal ourselves. When we're healed and we're connected to divine source energy, you will have such belief in yourself. The divine will be flowing through you. You will be the embodiment of your higher self. It's from here that you experience your greatest awakening with the divine. So remember, the divine is part of this. It's everything. You are created from source energy. You are the spark of the divine that is experiencing itself through you. The divine loves everything. So knowing that the thing that has separated you is also the gift in bringing you back to peace, to wholeness, to oneness, to healing. And then it's here that you feel connected, understanding that everything is sacred. Let it in. Don't resist it. Don't fight it. Be loving and kind.